quickly time flies when we're having fun, isn't it? Last week was already the final week of Split 1 of the Snapdragon Mobile Open. We'll start with North America, where two big stories happened. The races for first place and for ninth place. And that's because first place automatically gets invited to the challenge, whereas ninth place is the lowest rank that gets invited to the Open finals. So let's dive in. This is how the leaderboard looked at the end of week 2, heading into week 3. I want you to note the night shift in ninth place, as we'll be taking a closer look at them later. But as you can see, CMG Gaming has been sitting comfortably atop the leaderboards for most of this split. And one of the teams that's been hot on their heels is the squad with my favorite name, Fuzzy Wuzzy Wuzzy. If you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And Fuzzy had their chance in the final night of the Split 1 ladder. Lexnos, who's going for a Snapdragon Pro Series record of 5 championships, started things off by making the most out of a stalled out attack with this big rage spell and small swarm of balloons from the west. He finished the attack just shy of the 3-star with a very high percentage. Max followed that up with an even better 2-star. His queen fought admirably, finishing just behind that perfect victory at 98%. These two scores obviously put a lot of pressure on Fuzzy to try to win by stars because CMG's percentage was so high. Simon started out Fuzzy's attacks with a disappointing 89%, putting a ton of pressure on the rest of his squad to win on stars since the percent was already looking like it would be too low to overcome those high 2-star marks from CMG. Stamus performed admirably, giving his absolute best effort with an insane dedicated queen push. The amount of damage that this combo is able to out-heal is absolutely insane. Just look at that. But 2 units are obviously not enough to wreck an entire base. So he followed up with a giant swarm of balloons from the east. With the queen still alive and balloons doing balloon things, it looked like he might have the 3-star in the bag. The balloons stalled out in the south though, leaving it all to the queen. It looked like she might have had what it took, but then her healers were taken out. That was basically all she wrote for Stamus, who finished with 95%. So close! CMG took the narrow win and held on to first place, making them the first team from North America to officially be invited to the challenge. We caught up with CMG's manager Drew to get his thoughts on the team's run, the finals bracket, and the rivalry with War and Glory. Let's take a look.
My name is CMG Drew. I am the manager for the Clash of Clans team called CMG Gaming. Throughout the entirety of the event, we first off are very humbled and honored that we were able to partake in the opportunity that you guys have given us to fight against the top teams. Any team can beat anybody here. I think the front runner is definitely War and Glory. They're definitely going to be the front runner for majority of the ladder. And a couple other teams like Golden XXL, even though they're facing in the 9th position, Nick and Lex have played with each other for the last up-teen amount of seasons together, and now this is the first season that they're apart. I would love to see them both compete at the final stage of the events and better team win, you know? I'd like to give a shout out to my baby boy Jax. My wife is currently pregnant with our first, and he is currently supposed to be born on 9/11, so we are going to be inducing early. You know, it's kind of hilarious. When they told us, I was just like, of course, because why not?
Wow. Well, allow me to extend the biggest and most emphatic of congratulations to the young parents. What a heartwarming story and what a great sense of humor. Now, if you'll recall earlier, I told you to remember the night shift, who was holding on to that final invite to the Open Finals at the end of week 2. They took on Golden XXL for a chance to hold on to that final spot. Chase the Ace looked strong as he got the war underway. A Queen Unicorn push softened up Ote X's defense, making room for balloons to come in from the south and southwest. The damage was just way too much, and Chase started out the war exactly how his team hoped he would, with a perfect 3-star victory. It was time for Golden XXL to strike back, and Mr. Fox, playing as Drew You Even Clash, took the mantle for his team. Finally showing us something other than the Queen Healer balloon meta we've been seeing, Drew charged in with a Grand Warden-centered attack. Drew returned serve against Ace with a 3-star victory of his own, putting the ball back on the night shift's side of the court. A. Campbell took the reins and went right after Drew to test if his defense was as strong as his attack. He went for the tried and true Queen Healer balloon play with a rage, hoping for the big damage. But Drew's base was set up in such a way that the combo really didn't do very much damage. A. Campbell sent in the log roller next and hit another rage spell, hoping this one would be more effective than the last. He coupled that with balloons on the rage and a strong Grand Warden push in the north. The damage just wasn't piling up the way he was going for, though. The attack ended up fizzling out, leaving A. Campbell with a disappointing 84%. The rest of the squad didn't fare much better, finishing with just 11 stars and losing the war. Golden XXL slid right into that 9th place spot, knocking off the night shift and snagging the 8th and final invite to the Open Finals. And here is the rest of the field they'll be taking on. War and Glory made a valiant push for that first place bye, playing 44 total wars, but ultimately they just couldn't catch up, and CMG gets the automatic bid to the challenge. The 8 teams below CMG will duke it out in a double elimination bracket, where the top 3 will get invites of their own to the challenge. There are some exciting opportunities for the new teams like Vengeful Noobs, No Chance Ice, and Empire Gaming to prove they've got what it takes versus the old veterans like War and Glory and Happy Endings 5.0. We'll be broadcasting that live this Sunday on May 8th. Hosted by yours truly, it's sure to be an exciting time. So make sure you tune in here on our YouTube channel or on our Twitch channel. And of course, there's so many other ways to stay involved between now and then, so make sure you check out all of the links in the description below. It was an exciting race to the finish in NA. So now let's take a look at how the Europe, Middle East, and North Africa region panned out. The biggest story by far in the region is the conclusion of Strut's story, who you'll recall rose from 12th place to 3rd in a single week of play. Well, they had their eyes on an even higher prize, making a huge push to try for the coveted first place spot and its guaranteed ticket to the challenge. Tryhard exemplified what makes this team great as he attacked Kingsman from MS Esports. He flooded the southeast with a truly massive array of balloons. He just keeps dropping them. Then the Grand Warden comes in to support, but that wasn't all he had up his sleeve. A well-timed freeze and a rage led to a swift takedown of the Town Hall. With the support of the Grand Warden the whole way, these balloons barely suffered any losses and were able to lay siege to Kingsman's entire base. The cleanup took a little time, but very little effort as he sailed easily to the 3-star victory. Not that MS Esports are slouches by any means, but Strut didn't face their ultimate test until they took on league leaders, Tribe Gaming. Would they be able to finish their fairy tale season and sail all the way from off the map to first place? The valiant effort started with Ast, charging in guns ablazing with dragons and balloons on the west side of the base. With this attack, he was able to dish out almost 20% damage in under 20 seconds. Then he put all his hopes on the back of the Battle Machine, a unit that hasn't seen much play this ladder. While the Battle Machine was able to make good distance into the base, it ultimately just wasn't enough, as Ast finished with 2 stars and Strut ultimately lost a close match versus the seemingly insurmountable Tribe Gaming, who retained the first place spot with this win. Elsewhere in the region, MS Esports has been proving to be the model of consistency, as they've been a constant force right in the middle of the rankings. They've maintained their solid position by always winning the wars they're supposed to win versus lower ranked opponents, like this one versus Eternal Dreamers. Kingsman began his attack patiently, finding the weak point he wanted to exploit in the far north of Costa's base. Then he sent in balloons and minions to do balloons and minion things, which did basically what we've come to expect them to do. Kingsman gets the 3-star victory in his attack and leads his team to the easy dub. They faced a tougher opponent later in the week, taking on Toby Esport, who was in the top 10 after the first week of play but fell off in weeks 2 and 3. Synth was surgical, dropping an Inferno Tower and a sneaky Archer with lightning, vital pieces that could have given tough resistance later. With those 2 defensive targets eliminated, Synth set his eyes straight on Raza's Town Hall. He secured the high priority target and his first star before turning his attention elsewhere. Then he sent his king into the south, taking out buildings while tanking such an incredible amount of damage that you can barely even see him in this clip amidst all the fire and smoke. Then the 360 swarm began, with the remaining units rushing northward to meet up with the armada of balloons pouring in from the north and east. He sailed easily to the 3-star victory as MS Esports got the win versus a worthy opponent. These wins gave them the comfortable spot of 5th on the leaderboard. Tribe Gaming was as dominant as ever, securing the first place position by more than 50 points, while Time to Plague fell yet another spot to 6th place. Also, Repotted Gaming came up from the lower ranks to barely edge out Entropy Gaming for 9th place and the last invite to the Open Finals, which is going to have some utterly insane matchups, by the way. MS Esports versus Time to Plague is definitely one to keep a close eye on, as Plague looks to get out of the slump that they've been in. Also, in the second round of play, we could be looking at a rematch of Strut and Time to Plague. 3 more spots to the challenger on the line, so be sure to tune in live in your preferred language. And one last thing before I go. Split 2 is right around the corner, so I better see some new teams and hopefully some new faces in these interviews when we resume the round of videos in a few weeks' time. Sign up to test your mettle at snapdragonproseries.com. Well, that wraps it all up for us here on Split 1. It's been an honor and a privilege to bring you all of the updates, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. Next time you see me, we'll be live in the studio on Sunday, May 8th.